And good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Westeros Ninja Election 2020 video. Not really a video, but it's a stream. I have with me tonight is Felicia, and we will be talking about how delegates are allocated to people or candidates in the Democratic Party presidential nomination campaigns going on right now. So, Felicia, what's going on? Glad you can make it on tonight.
Hey everybody, I'm here as your token undecided, uneducated voter.
Yeah, and you can have some sneak peeks of this really cool spreadsheet I've been working on that will just basically I can actually scenario test wins and percentages that candidates get, and basically it'll spit out the number of delegates that a person will get if they meet certain conditions. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start simple PowerPoint because this is a Westeros Ninja stream, and we are going to go with me explaining who actually wins a primary. Okay, a primary is different than caucuses, right? We've had 2 caucuses so far, and we're going to have 2 primaries at the end of this Saturday. Primary is just basically like a general election vote where you as an individual will go in to a center, basically go into a voting booth and cast your ballots. Okay, and that this is what I'm really going to be focusing on tonight, only because the majority of the races or the elections coming up for the next couple of months, until the national convention in June, are going to be primaries. Okay. Anyway, per 2020 Democratic Party primary rules, okay, delegates will be allocated based on the proportion of the statewide popular vote, as long as they meet or exceed. You know what? We're not on, dude.
We are. It's just not on the one you think we are. It's a different video that started.
Okay, cool.
Oh yeah, I'm sharing the link right now. We are. It started a new video.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Felicia, for checking on that. Then we are
I didn't
on.
want to you were like in the middle of a thing. I was going to let you know as soon as you gave me time.
Awesome. Okay, so they're allocated proportionally, okay, based on the statewide popular vote, as long as they meet or exceed 15% of the vote, okay, which is different than the Republican party processes for primaries. Basically, it's a winner take all thing. So whoever wins the popular vote gets all the delegates. In the Democratic side, it's basically an allocation. Okay, as long as you actually hit that 15% of the vote. Okay, some delegates are allocated by congressional districts or like an electoral college way of doing things, but they're very rare and insignificant in terms of the actual delegate allocation process. Okay, now there are a couple of cases which may happen. Okay, the first case is if no candidate meets the 15% threshold. Okay, then the Democratic Party rules state that the minimum to receive delegates will be 50% of the vote received by the front runner. So in this case, an example would be if candidate A wins with 10% of the vote, okay, and this candidate is the highest, right, at 10%, delegates will be allocated proportionately to anyone that receives 5% or more. Okay, very unlikely case, but it could conceivably happen. Okay, now the second case would be if only one candidate gets 15%, but everybody else gets under 15%, then the allocation is effectively winner take all. They get all of the delegates. So with that, I see one person in here, and that is Moni G. And thank you very much for stopping by, Moni. Glad you can be here. So, and at the end of the day, who wins the primary? Obviously, winner who gets the delegates, right? In a primary, usually the person with the highest popular vote will win. Will get the most delegates and become the winner. In a caucus, right, such as in Iowa, 3 weeks ago, that was a bit different, right? Pete Buttigieg got the most delegates, so he won, but Bernie Sanders actually won the
Yeah, I
popular
don't
vote.
agree with that. That's such bullshit.
Well, it's a caucus. I mean, it's different, right?
Look,
a caucus is essentially a bunch of.
I get why it's a thing, but like I really just feel like we should do what the rest of the world does and just do popular vote. Like there's really no need to be. It really should be the majority of people want this. Let's do this. Like I don't really see why there's other ways to get around popular majority vote. It seems ridiculous at this point. Like honestly.
Hey man, but it is. I mean that's just the way it is. Okay, so most of them are going to be primaries. Okay, so caucuses, are having issues right now only because it used to be that they were only report like who had the most county delegates, and whoever had the most county delegates would win. But this year, they decided to basically report three sets of results. Right, the first alignment results, then post alignment results, and then the county delegate results. So
but that's because they want more transparency after the uproar of last time.
Yeah,
I get it.
But it just causes a bunch of issues because then everybody's double checking three sets of results, right? And that's why it's taking 2 days to report everything, or 3 days. Or if you're using an app, right, sponsored by Pete Buttigieg, it takes 6 or 7 days.
But
anyway,
that app, that whole I can't when I heard what it was, I was like, oh no shit, what did you expect is gonna happen, bro? Like.
Just the way it is. And okay, so let's get into how are they allocated, okay? Because people are always wondering, okay, basically, what determines how many delegates a person gets? Okay, it's very simple. Okay, the first thing you want to do is that you want to finalize the votes, obviously. The second thing is that you eliminate all candidates with less than 15% of the popular vote in a primary. Okay, so they automatically get 0. Okay, so even if you have 14.9% of the vote, guess what? You get 0 delegates. Okay, once that's done, then you start to proportionally allocate delegates among each candidate with 15% or more votes using the following formula. And I'm giving you the formula right there. Okay, it's basically what Felicia, did you ask a question?
With viability.
Yeah, viability. Yeah, that is viability, 15%. Okay, and basically the formula is that. The formula is simple, okay? It's basically the viable candidate percentage, okay, divided by the sum of all viable percentages, okay, multiplied by the number of delegates available in a particular state, okay, in that state. Okay, so I gave you an example, okay, for you, Felicia, here. Okay, state A has 100 delegates up for grabs, right? And the results of the elections are as follows, right? Bob gets 40%, Joe gets 25, Amanda gets 14.5, William gets 10, Mike gets 10, and Kamala gets 0.5. Okay. Now, tell me who's eliminated right off the bat.
Well, everyone with the 0, anyone under 15% is not viable, gets 0 delegates. Which I'm like,
So like, Amanda got close at 14.5.
I didn't exactly agree with this method, but like whatever.
But Amanda got close at 14.5. But
like, I'm just saying, if I was Amanda's camp, I'd be really fucking pissed.
Well, I mean, you might want to demand a recount, especially if it's like 14.8 or 14.9.
Yeah, but you have to pay for your own recount. Fuck that noise. Okay. It's extra money.
Okay. Well, anyway, so the only people that are actually viable in the scenario are Bob and Joe, right? And then I just gave you the formula how to do it, right? So Bob at 40% of votes. So it's 40 divided by 65 because the sum of the viable percentages is 40 plus 25, which is 65, times 100.
Oh, so I get it.
So Bob gets 62 delegates. Then Joe with 25% of vote gets 38 delegates, and both of them added up equals to 100, right?
And this is how all the primary states work?
All the primary states work this way. And
so hypothetically, if Bob got 41%, it would be over 65, over 66. So you add the two numbers of their percentages. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, it'll be 41 divided by 66.
I don't think I was listening when you went over that part because my mind has just been blown.
Okay. Well, I gave you an example because a lot of people need examples, and nice, simple examples. So that's the way to do it. Okay. And obviously, if Amanda got 15% instead of 14.5, right, then Bob will get 40 divided by 65 plus 15, which is 80, right? It would be 40 divided by 80.
Yeah, if you have 3 viable candidates.
So he would get 50 delegates then. So, but in this case, poor Amanda, only got 14.5. So she, in essence, she gets 0.
Oh man, I feel like that's gonna be Biden. Like all this is gonna be Biden.
Yeah, exactly. Tuesday. And this is the crazy thing, right?
Dude, no, Biden is gonna be Amanda on Super Tuesday. I'm sorry, this is gonna happen.
Exactly. Now, if you go into the real world, you can see how much of a big difference this is, right? Imagine if you came in like a 13 or 14% in a bunch of Super Tuesday states. I mean, you get nothing, and you're pretty much gone, right? You're effectively out of the race. This is totally brutal.
Is this the same system they used in 2016 when I wasn't paying attention to the states, but I wasn't paying attention to all this.
The Democratic Party uses the proportional allocation method. The Republican Party is winner take all. So Bob would take all 100 delegates.
He would get the whole state. Gotcha.
The whole state, yeah.
I don't hate that. I actually don't hate that system. That's not too bad of a system.
Well, I mean, it's similar to the general election, right?
Yeah, it's the yeah. That's why I'm like, oh, this seems very familiar. I like that. I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah. But what it does though is that it makes it very difficult for a particular person to get the majority, to get to that magic number in terms of
if
number
it's
of
winner
delegates.
take all, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so let's get we using the proportional allocation.
I gotta
method.
say, winner take all does feel more Republican, and sharing it amongst each other does feel more liberal.
All right. Cool. Okay. Now, in terms of the Democratic Party, in terms of the Democratic Party primaries, okay, now who actually wins a nomination? Okay, well, a candidate needs to reach 1,991 pledged delegates of a possible 3,979 delegates, right? Basically, a simple majority. Okay, during the elections to secure that nomination automatically, that means outright, on the first ballot at the Democratic National Convention. Okay, now, as you saw in the previous slide, Felicia, it's a lot harder when you're proportionally allocating, right? Delegates to candidates if they exceed 15% versus a winner take all, right? It's a lot easier to reach this kind of magic number in a winner take all scenario, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, but that's just the way the Democratic Party does things. Okay, now if nobody reaches this magic 1,991 pledged delegates after the first ballot,
then,
I
know what this means.
Okay, then the pledged delegates, that pledged delegates were they had to vote for the person that they supported in the first ballot, but nobody gets that majority in the first ballot. Then these pledged delegates can move and vote for whoever they want to. Okay, it's craziness. Plus, you also have an additional 771 DNC assigned super delegates.
These super delegates is like a bad word. Like I remember in 2016, the term super delegates was like used like a swear word.
Yep. And then this goes on and on until somebody actually reaches this 1,991 delegate vote count. Okay, so just a crazy scenario here. If Bernie only has 1,800 delegates, right, after the first ballot, and Joe Biden has 1,300 delegates, right? This
is going to cause
somebody can say, okay, all you super delegates, I want all you guys to just move en masse behind Joe Biden. Joe Biden basically gets the majority.
If this happens, I know this is completely going off topic, but if this happens to Bernie again, like it did in 2016, people are going to lose their shit.
Okay, so just say it can happen. Now, yeah. So it's it can get really crazy, but you also have to realize, though, after the first ballot, that these pledged delegates, right, who voted for a particular candidate during the primary season can actually switch sides. Anyway,
that doesn't feel right.
But they can. They can. But they can.
I know, but that shouldn't be allowed.
But it is allowed. Okay, so it is allowed.
When I hear the rules, I'm like, that's such bullshit. Who decided that?
Okay, and thanks, Kev, for stopping by. Yeah, burn your candle for me, baby. And
oh God, here we go again.
And Peter Griffin, don't do it. I'll drop the convention myself. Yeah, but it can happen. So anyway. Yeah. So anyway, so here's the state of the current state right now in terms of the race. Okay, Bernie Sanders has is at 45 delegates right now. Pete Buttigieg is second place at 25 delegates, followed by Joe Biden. On the strength of a strong second in Nevada, gets 15%.
A strong second, third, fourth. Okay. A second, fourth. He had really bad results.
Yeah, Joe was fourth in Iowa and fifth in New Hampshire, and he went second in Nevada. But so again, the delegate count, as I was saying earlier, doesn't necessarily represent the popular voting, right?
No, because the first two states are not an accurate representation of the country at all.
No, that's not. It's not because it's not because the first two out of three elections were caucuses, and caucuses are run differently.
But they also decide a lot because a lot of people, like a couple candidates, dropped out. After
I understand that, but I'm talking about what's happening right now, right?
Yeah. Well, Super Tuesday matters more.
Yeah. Is that so? Your top three in terms of pledged delegates are Sanders, Buttigieg, and Biden, but it doesn't necessarily represent the popular vote total. The popular vote, in this case, your top three is actually Bernie Sanders, Pete Buttigieg, and Amy Klobuchar is actually third place in the popular vote.
Oh, yeah, now that I'm looking at that, she had a good result.
And that's because we've had two caucuses and one primary so far, okay? And caucuses, again, are mini electoral college votes, right?
Each state. She had a surprisingly good result in New Hampshire. I remember that. She was like a strong third or something.
A strong third.
Fourth.
She got a strong third in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
I didn't want to tell you.
Oh, how about that?
Yes.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, and Peter Griffin, yes, it is going to be in Milwaukee this year in June, the Democrat National Convention. Thanks a lot there. So anyway, again, I think as we get further into the primary season, you will see the pledged delegate count would more or less jive with the popular vote count. But the fact is, it doesn't drive quite right now. I think it's because we've had 2 caucuses out of the 3
and extremely
general votes so
white,
far.
extremely
No,
white states.
Being white doesn't matter in terms of the popular vote. What happens is that the caucus process is basically electoral college. It's basically an electoral college election, if you will, right? Each precinct is its own electoral college, right? So you can have votes everywhere. You can have votes everywhere, but
I sit here and I pretend like I understand, but I don't.
But you're not necessarily viable in a lot of places, and that's why you don't get any delegates, essentially. And that's what happened to Amy Klobuchar.
I saw one that came down to a picking a card. There was like a tie in one place, and it was between Buttigieg and Sanders, and they both had to pick a card. I remember.
Yeah.
So and
then the Buttigieg guy got like a 3, and Sanders. No, wait a minute.
He got a 2, and he
got
knew
2, and then
Buttigieg guy got
a 3.
He's like, it doesn't matter what happens, I've lost.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, so this is how it worked, guys. Okay, but that's pretty much it in terms of who actually wins. Okay, hopefully there won't be a broker convention. We know where you will get some shenanigans going on.
It's going to cause chaos.
You never know, though. Now let's get into the spreadsheet now, which I'm going to do right now. Okay, and we're actually going to go take a look and try to forecast how many delegates these candidates will get on Saturday in South Carolina, and also next Tuesday during Super Tuesday, where 14 states will be up for grabs, will be holding elections, plus 2 territories. All right.
So this is the whole reason Milt's doing this video, because he wants to show off his chart that he worked really hard on. Let's just be honest right now.
Yes, I have a lot of spare time on my hands, and I made this master spreadsheet, which I'm going to share with you right now. And can you see this okay, guys?
My room's a mess. I should have cleaned more.
Okay. Anyway, the first thing I want to just show you is basically how this is going to work here. Okay, so basically, these are the upcoming elections that they're going to go on within the next 5 days. Essentially, South Carolina and all the Super Tuesday states. And what you have here is basically the states listed, as well as how many pledged delegates are available for each state.
Super Tuesday state. It's so not fair. I just want to say, I keep complaining about this, but it's bullshit. Why can't I be? I want to be a Super Tuesday state.
Okay.
I feel extremely left out.
Sorry, dude. I mean, blame your Rhode Island Democratic Party.
My state doesn't matter because it's the smallest state in the fucking country, so we're the least relevant.
Yeah, and that is right, Kev. I am using StreamYard because OBS and Excel don't play nicely with each other, okay? And I'm showing stuff in Excel.
Oh yeah, that's why we're using this.
And what's going to happen is that you're going to have a lot of graphics tears in Excel if you use OBS. So that's why I'm using StreamYard at this point. So the free version. So anyway, so let's get going here, okay? So basically, 16 places are going to vote in the next 5 days, okay? And 1,441 delegates are going to be up for grabs, okay? Out of the total of 3,979 total pledged delegates available, okay? So that's roughly a third of delegates.
A lot of peanuts.
Yeah, exactly. A third of the delegates are going to be basically pledged after Tuesday. And of course, you need 1,991 to win the nomination. The 771 super delegates aren't in this equation at this point. They don't play into determining the winner or the nominee until the second ballot, if it goes to the second ballot. But I just wanted to give you that number anyway.
Okay. Who has the most? Oh, no surprise there.
Yeah. So again, here's the magic formula that we're going to use. Okay. Basically 3 steps, right? The first step is that you eliminate all candidates with results less than 15%. All right. So that should be a S there. Okay, there you go. And then after that, then you proportionally allocate delegates among the remaining candidates based on the following formula, which I showed earlier in the presentation, right? The viable candidate percentage divided by the sum of all results greater than 15% times the number of delegates available per state here, okay? And what you can see here, the big kahunas, right, in the next week are going to be California, obviously.
Yeah,
North Carolina,
I was like,
and
what's
Texas.
the biggest?
Okay, roughly, and Virginia is in there too.
I didn't expect North Carolina to be so big.
No, North Carolina has.
I'm bad with geography, so like.
Okay, North Carolina has 15 electoral votes. Okay, and they have major centers like they have a major commerce center in Charlotte, North Carolina, right? Plus they have a major tech center, right? It's a tech triangle, right? Raleigh, Durham, and that place. So yeah, they are a pretty populous.
Okay, I'm just gonna ask it because I'm gonna sound stupid. I'm just gonna get out of the way. What's America Samoa? What's America Samoa? Where is that?
America Samoa is in the South Pacific.
Is it
close to the Philippines? Close to Guam.
Oh, Guam, got it. If you just say Guam, I know where Guam is. Got that.
Yeah.
So they'll be the first people to vote because Guam always votes first. That's actually a random thing I know.
No. Yeah. See, I'm not sure if America Samoa is on the other side of the date line or within the date line where Hawaii is. If they're in the date line on the side of Hawaii, then they're going to be the last to vote. It depends where they are relative to the date line. And I'll need my globe for that. So anyway,
I have a globe up there.
Okay, and then Democrats abroad are basically is people who are expats living in different countries. They will get to start to cast their ballots as well.
What about soldiers? Like soldiers? What about soldiers? Mm-hmm. Active duty soldiers?
Yeah. So North Carolina has a big again, has a big city in Charlotte. Okay, is a major financial center. Plus they have Raleigh and Durham. Which is basically a major tech center. So
I'm looking
North
at
Carolina
this map.
Does have a lot of people. So
and look, Mass gets to vote, Maine gets to vote. How come I don't get to vote? Why am I being left out?
Yep, and that's right, Peter Griffin. Super Tuesday is about to make it rain of delegates, and that's true.
Seriously.
So, and here's the thing, though. Okay, depending on how these states vote, at least in the next 5 days, what it would do is that it will basically tell you whether or not it's possible for some to actually hit that 1991 threshold.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of people drop out.
Before the convention.
We're going to see Tulsi Gabbard drop out. All those people whose names I forgot who are still running at less than 1%, they're all going to drop out.
Okay, so I'm going to show you guys some scenarios here, okay? And the first thing I'm going to show you here is very simple. Basically, I've listed out all the states on the bottom, okay, with the candidates, okay, and what's colored green are all the numbers above 15%, okay, and these numbers aren't just made up in my head, okay, they're actually based on the latest polls that have been published, okay. So in South Carolina, what you would see here is that the latest poll says that Bernie Sanders has 23% of the South Carolina vote, Biden has 31%, and Steyer has 20%. So if you're in green, that means you're viable. You've crossed the 15% threshold. Anybody below that doesn't have that colored green, they get 0 delegates, allocated, And based on the calculation here, you go up and you see South Carolina, which votes on February the 29th. Bernie Sanders would then get 17 delegates allocated because he only has 23. Joe Biden would get 23 delegates allocated to him, and Tom Steyer would get 15.
Steyer was doing surprisingly well in that.
Yeah. Steyer is doing great in South Carolina.
He was making a lot of. I'm not the biggest fan of him, but he was like the only one who wasn't sounding like a complete asshole, yelling at everybody during the debate. Like he was like, "Let's all get along." And I was like, "Huh, it's a good message."
Okay, so now what I did here, so now what I've done here is I basically populated out other states, with polling results. Some are blank because there hasn't been any polls for states like Alabama, America Samoa, and Tennessee. And Democrats abroad, obviously, is you can't poll them because they're all over the world, right? But there have been polls in Arkansas, Colorado, Maine, Massachusetts, Minnesota. Yada yada yada. Now, if you just kind of look at the spread of green, you can kind of see who's going to get delegates, and that's what it does. So basically, it takes the number above 15%, and then it calculates the number of delegates that a candidate will get allocated to. Okay, bottom line is that as of right now, if I just include the states that have poll numbers, this is what it comes out. Based on just the poll percentages right now, is that Bernie Sanders has a delegate count of 279 with a lead of 157 over Joe Biden.
Look at your green. He's winning in every state except Oklahoma.
Exactly.
He's viable in every state except
exactly.
Oklahoma.
So exactly, and that's good observation, because I was going to say that, Felicia. Yes, Bernie Sanders is pretty much viable in everywhere except for Oklahoma right now. Joe
And
Biden.
Bloomberg looks like the dark horse to like screw everything up.
Bloomberg is only viable in four states out
Which
of
is
16 coming up.
Well, only one less than Biden, who was the supposed front runner 3 months ago. So that.
Yep. Look at Pete Buttigieg. He's in second place right now in terms of delegate count. He's only viable in 3 of the upcoming 16 elections.
Not a big Buttigieg fan, and I see that like a lot of these he's almost viable, but he's not. So in your mind, you're like, oh, well, the margin of error is 3 points. Well, fuck him, he didn't make it. Like I feel like I can sense that because I know you don't like him.
Amy Klobuchar. She's in 3rd place in the popular vote right now, right? But guess what?
Only one state.
In 16 elections right now, she's only viable in her home state of Minnesota.
But look, that's better than Warren in her home state of Massachusetts.
Yeah, Warren is only viable in 2 states right now, and
one of them is her home state, and she's not even number 1. That's awful.
Okay, now Gabbard is obviously, she's been polling very low everywhere. She hasn't won delegate yet, and then
I don't know why you even included her on this.
Well, I do, because she's still in the race. A major candidate in the race, and then
are like
I'm not done yet, Felicia. Others is basically uncommitted or writing candidates, right? And obviously, these can be pretty big because the polls are kind of immature at this point. So especially Minnesota, right? You have 22%. Which is unaccounted for in this only poll. So I put it as others. Okay, now
Utah has 27. That's a lot too.
Now, Felicia, I've totally lied here and basically excluded 2 of the biggest states in the union.
Oh, you left out your current state and your home state.
Exactly, California and Texas. There have been polls there. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, guys, is I'm going to go ahead and populate Texas first. And California. But before I do that, I need to get rid of Peter Griffin's message on this stream.
Well, I could
anyway.
Yeah, no, I know.
All right. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is populate Texas. Okay, there has been a poll out that came out yesterday, or excuse me, on Tuesday. I'm going to find it right now.
Was it yesterday, Tuesday?
Excuse me.
Today's Wednesday, right?
Monday.
You are confusing me, bro.
Okay, Monday. Okay. And what I'm going to do now is populate. Okay, this is from the University of Houston. Okay, it says that Bernie Sanders has 20% of the vote right now in Texas. 20%. Boom! It's automatically green. Now I'm going to go with
in Texas?
Joe Biden. He's at 20% too in Texas.
See, I thought, like, I don't know. I haven't seen the poll, but in my mind, I was like, I bet you Biden's barely winning.
No, not necessarily.
I didn't think Sanders would do so well in Texas.
Texas has a very large Latino population, and if you learned anything from Nevada, okay, where he got 51% of the Latino vote, it's gonna matter, okay, in Texas.
I really have no right to speak. My population is similar to like New Hampshire and Iowa.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I'm not done yet. Okay, Bloomberg has 12%.
Oh God, why is he doing so well?
Okay, so he's eliminated. He's not viable. Warren has 17%, Felicia, in Texas.
Well, that's not surprising if her and Bernie are in the same lane. So if I could see that's not surprising.
Okay. Now, Buttigieg, Peter, he has 11.
Well.
11.
Not viable though. Nope, error.
No problem. Okay, Klobuchar has 7. And Gabbard has 3.
Oh, look at that.
Steyer has 0.
Is that where she's doing the best? There in Maine.
Okay. Now what happened here? Okay, because Sanders, Biden, and Warren have very similar, popular vote totals. Their allocation is actually very close together, right? So Sanders has an 80, and Biden has 80 delegates, and Warren has 68 delegates, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then that basically adjusts the delegate count accordingly, right? So 59 then, and then Bernie Sanders' lead hasn't really changed significantly, right? Still about 150. It was at like 120 before that. Okay, now let's go ahead and actually put in California now. And this is a poll that just came out today.
California, I can.
California. Okay, 415 delegates up for grabs in California, man.
That's the most, right?
That is the most in the union. Okay, and before that, do I have anybody in there asking questions? Felicia, are you?
Like, I'm paying attention. They're
okay.
Like they're talking.
No, okay. So let's go ahead here and go into, and thank you very much, Manny, for that compliment, by the way. And let's go ahead and get into California and start populating the poll information from California. This is from today, KQED. That's actually the PBS station where I grew up. So that's Bernie Sanders in California, guess what, Felicia? 37%.
Winning by a lot. No surprise there.
Okay.
Dude, I know you like Bernie, but that's a bit exaggerated there. 37,000%.
Joe Biden is not viable, 12%.
Yeah, that's not surprising. Warren probably is. So.
Elizabeth Warren has 20%.
Yep, saw that coming too.
Okay.
Damn it, you need to chill.
Bloomberg has 6%. He's not doing great in California.
California is kind of. Okay. I thought he would have done better.
Yeah.
Peter
has 11.
New York's not on Super Tuesday?
No, it's not. Amy Kay has 5. And Steyer has 3. And Steyer is actually a Californian, and has 3%. And Gabbard has 2%. Okay, and then it doesn't equal to 100 yet, so I'm going to put 4% in the others uncommitted category, just for grins. And there you have it. So guess what happened here? With 37% of the total and only 2 candidates that are viable, Bernie Sanders has picked up 269. Yeah, 269 delegates, and Elizabeth Warren has picked up 146. Okay, so now his lead now is 426 delegates, right?
I didn't notice the
he's
Warren
already
factor.
a third. He's already a third of the way there to reach that 1991 magic number, Felicia.
You don't think that a good turnout in South Carolina for Biden or Sanders could change these numbers though?
Yes, it will. And we will scenario test right now. Now here's the thing. Okay, if Warren just suddenly drops for no reason in California and she hits 14%, and then Bloomberg and Warren kind of like fight for the same type of people in terms of their basis, and he goes up to 12%, guess what happens, Felicia? Bernie is the only viable person in California. He gets all 415 delegates.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that happening though, because like from all the polling data, it shows that Bernie has the Hispanic vote down packed, and the Hispanic population is massive in California. So it's not a surprise at all.
Yep. So let's get back there. So, and again, I know Alabama has no polls, Tennessee has no polls, so I don't want to make up numbers. But if you want me to make up numbers, I can by saying that.
Alabama, you want to.
Yeah.
You want to.
Alabama, has a very large African American community. It may be similar to what South Carolina would vote. Just saying.
Yeah. Given the margin.
There it is there. All right. And say Tennessee maybe is a similar demographic and similar, politics as somebody like Arkansas.
I can see that. Yeah.
And there you go. So even with these numbers now, Bernie Sanders still has a 418 delegate lead by the end of Super
Warren
Tuesday.
Is in second. That's actually what surprises me the most about this hypothetical scenario is that Warren is in second. And it seemed like she was, trailing in the polls until her takedown of Mike Bloomberg 2 weeks ago. And it really helped her.
Okay, Felicia. Now, let's play some more scenario testing here. Is there any state you think where you think Bernie Sanders' numbers are inflated?
Nope. Well, no.
Okay.
No.
Do you think there's any states where you think Joe Biden would be inflated? It's inflated.
Maybe some I think he will do well in South Carolina, but I don't think he'll do that well.
Okay. Well, I mean, if Joe Biden gets 29, Bernie Sanders gets 25, it's not going to affect the delegate allocation that much. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Okay.
I only see Biden winning 1 or 2 states outright, and that's gonna
Yeah.
hurt him.
Yeah. What about Elizabeth Warren? Do you think she's going to do better in any state, or is this pretty much
These
it
numbers are surprising me. Like seeing her getting so many second places are surprising me.
Well, I mean,
but again,
Colorado, California has a lot of people that fit her base.
She has been leading the headlines, so she's taking over the headlines with
No,
her.
and also Elizabeth Warren's base is mostly composed of affluent white liberals.
My mom.
And California and Colorado are full of affluent white liberals.
My mom is so about Elizabeth Warren. I'm like, stop, mom, stop.
Okay. All right. So it's pretty cool. And look at Virginia. I mean, Virginia is a really tight race here. Okay, right? 28, 19, 17, and 17. You have 4 candidates that are viable.
It's one of the few states I've actually traveled to outside of Rhode Island.
And look what happens. And this is the problem for Bernie. Basically, the more people who are viable in a state, the less delegates that he gets, and everybody else gets delegates. So his lead won't grow, right? It'll make it harder for him to actually hit that 1991.
If it comes down to a contested convention, it's going to hurt Bernie the most. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, I saw that carpool karaoke Jedi Snips. I saw that live, and I rewound it and watched it again. Sorry,
okay. I mean, I just want to make that point too. Okay, so basically, the more viable candidates there are in an election in a state, the more it actually hurts Bernie. Okay. Now, the less viable candidates, right, that are in the state, obviously, it helps Bernie a lot more, only because he's viable in pretty much every single state. Yeah. Coming up, except for Oklahoma.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was an upset in Oklahoma and he took a second. Like, honestly, anything can happen with them.
Yeah. You ever been to Oklahoma?
No.
There's some pretty conservative people up there, okay? It's a deep red state. It's
I don't know.
And it's pretty much all white, so it's
so is Rhode Island. So is Rhode Island, but Rhode Island voted for Bernie in 2016.
Yeah, but Rhode Island is not deep red. Okay.
No, but we're deep white.
Okay.
Like my population is more similar to the Iowa and New Hampshire caucuses I complained about.
Yeah. And it's the same thing with Arkansas too. In Arkansas, well, I mean, others doesn't count, but you also have 4 viable candidates right now, according to the poll in Arkansas. So, but it only has 31 votes, right? Delegates in total. So it doesn't really matter that much. I mean, California is the big thing here, okay? Felicia, now, if I was to tell you that Joe Biden wins South Carolina by a humongous margin, he carries a lot of momentum going to Super Tuesday. Is it possible that Joe Biden now will get 15%?
In California?
Just saying. Remember, there are a lot of old baby boomer Democrats.
3 months ago, I would have said, oh, yeah, absolutely. 3 months ago, I would have been yes. But today, I don't know. I do not know.
Okay, there are a lot of baby boomer Democrats still alive in California.
He needs to win. Like, if he could actually win a state, like, I think, like I was saying just a little while ago, that I think that 31 might be a bit more than he will actually win.
Okay, Felicia, the point I'm trying to make here is that by having Joe Biden viable, Bernie's lead goes down from 418 to 283.
Yeah, because California matters so much.
Yeah, and this could conceivably be what happened. Okay, seriously. See, so then with this,
it could happen. I just think it's extremely unlikely.
Yeah, if this happens, see what you guys can see now that it makes Bernie's path to 1991 a lot harder. Okay. And it increases the likelihood.
There's always a chance that Buttigieg could get more than expected,
or a contested convention. What?
Because there's like the Buttigieg and the Bloomberg factor. They could take votes away from him, and then like he could be at 14%.
Well, it could be, but Bloomberg's base consists of a lot of minorities, and Buttigieg obviously doesn't have a minority base. Okay, right? So if
they're all in the same moderate lane. They're on the same moderate lane.
They're moderate lane, but but in terms of the actual racial demographics, Bloomberg has the moderates, and he also has a lot of minority support as well. Whereas Pete Buttigieg only has moderates and affluent white liberals like Warren. If anything, what you can see here is that Buttigieg and Warren are actually fighting for the same kinds of people. And Buttigieg is winning out because Warren is also a progressive, right, or a self-described progressive, and so all her votes are basically being taken away by Sanders. Okay, but it's really interesting to see what happens. Texas is the same way. I mean, say Warren doesn't get 17% in Texas, she only gets 14%.
I was surprised that Biden was tied with, like, Sanders tied him there in that poll.
Then, and then Biden gets, say, 23%. Okay.
And that feels more real. You put 13.
Oh, sorry. 23%, and then
why is it adding zeros?
I don't know. Sorry. The column width isn't wide enough, so it doesn't know what to do. But anyway, so an example here would be that Warren only gets under 14%, and then she becomes unviable, which could possibly happen, especially after South Carolina, where she's expected to do very, very poorly right now. Okay, so I don't know how much momentum she's going to.
Yeah, she's doing bad.
Okay, if that's the case, then basically, if Biden wins it by 23%, he gets most of the delegates. But it's okay for Bernie because now his lead is still 410, and his delegate count is still up. So, what matters
look how
for
close
Bernie
Warren still is?
Yeah, what matters for Bernie to avoid a contested convention is to have less people being viable in states with him. That's the bottom line.
He can't be splitting the delegates. He needs to take the majority.
He needs to take at least half. He needs to have at least. He needs to be one of only 2 people probably viable in a lot of these states for him to actually avoid that contested convention. Would the math work? I don't know. Okay, because you're gonna have people dropping out. Obviously, after Super Tuesday, people might start to coalesce around a centrist candidate, or maybe they'll fly, towards Bernie because he is now the front runner. You never know. Because Bernie Sanders is the second choice for a lot of these people.
Yeah. I think these numbers are a bit optimistic. I think I don't want this to happen, but Bernie's just gonna run away with Super Tuesday. Like, that's what's gonna happen. He's gonna win everything. And then there'll be a couple people trying to get the scraps, fighting for second place, and it's just gonna be Bernie all day, every day. And I'm not gonna get happy about
Peter. Yep, there's 2,000 more Al Gore votes floating in the ocean right now.
Oh man, I swear, Biden made a reference
corrupt
to
Nancy Pelosi reference there. Good one there.
He made a reference to hanging Chads in the debate last night. I was like, is this a Bush v. Gore reference? I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, Mandy, how flirting to me. True. Yeah. So, at a bottom line, I think if Bernie is pretty close to majority, like, say, 1,700 votes instead of 1991, right? I can't see the Democratic Party pulling any shenanigans to actually defy the will of the people and actually, basically send all the super delegates.
Have you seen the way the news is freaking out?
Send the super delegates to another candidate, like the second place person or like a unity candidate, what you will.
I don't know. The DNC is freaking out with the possibility of Bernie being the nominee.
I'm more freaking out by the fact that Bloomberg's strategy, I believe, since he has unlimited resources, he can stay basically until the end, pick up delegates left and right, be like the second place candidate, right? Then behind the scenes, he's buying out the super delegates.
So this poll right here has Bloomberg winning Arkansas, huh?
Yep. Right now, yep.
I didn't see that
one. Arkansas only has 31 votes. It doesn't really matter. It really doesn't matter unless one person wins it all, right? It doesn't really matter.
Then he's viable in a few more.
Yeah.
But honestly,
yeah, Bloomberg's viable in 4 states right now. Four out of the next 16, he's viable right now. Right, there's 16 places voting right now. He's viable in 4 of them. I mean, Bloomberg's going to be viable like in places like big states like in New York, probably Illinois, probably a lot of the deep South, like in Florida. I think he's actually number 1 in Florida right now because of all the old retired New Yorkers, right? All the snowbirds from New York migrating out to Florida.
Yeah, everyone I know has an aunt or an uncle. And I have an aunt in Florida. Everyone has an aunt and uncle who retired in Florida.
Yep. So look at Bernie Sanders. At least he has Vermont in the bag, right? At 51%.
Well, is he the only one winning his home state outright?
No.
What is Biden's home state?
No. Amy Kay's winning his home state. Winning her home state at 29.
No, she is winning outright. Yeah, okay. Right.
Yeah, she's winning. But Bernie Sanders is also viable, right? So they're going to split votes, right? They're going to split delegates.
Yeah. what is I know like isn't like Warren is senator from Mass, but I think she's from Oklahoma.
Yes, she is from Oklahoma, and she is doing 9% right now because she's turned into an East Coast academic, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm
Literally.
like, I remember the first time I saw Elizabeth Warren, she was like running for senator of Massachusetts, and I heard her accent. I'm like, the bitch ain't from Mass.
Yeah, but also, Felicia, Oklahoma, the poll is pretty old, and there's 20% unaccounted for.
That's a lot.
So some of that 20% can actually go into Warren's camp, possible. Or it can go into
Bernie.
More than likely, that uncommitted and others is probably going to go into Bernie Sanders' camp.
How old is that poll? Is that poll from when people like Harris and Booker and Yang were still on the ballot?
Let's see, I'll tell you how old that poll is right
now. Because, if like a couple of lower ranked candidates got 2 or 3%.
I mean, it's pretty recent because Bloomberg's in Oklahoma, so it has to be.
Oh yeah.
So that is actually very rare, very very recent. Last week, February. You just said it was an old poll. February the 17th.
Make up your mind.
February the 17th to February the 21st. I have it confused probably with another old poll like Maine is my guess. So yeah. So So it's very very recent.
I'm still mad that I'm being left out. Okay. You get both your states in there, your home state and your current state. That's not fair.
So anyway, guys, that's just what I wanted to show you. Basically, I hope the takeaway here is that Bernie Sanders is definitely on his way to at least getting the plurality of delegates right before the convention.
Yeah.
And the way that he can actually get the majority of delegates reaching that 1,991 votes is pretty much by being one of maybe two people who are viable in each of these states. Rest of the states coming up. I mean, if there's three people splitting a vote in the state, it's going to be splitting up delegates in the state. It'll be a lot harder for him to basically reach that 1,991 vote total. Okay, but because even in the most optimistic case, he still has 655 right now delegates.
That's a big lead.
And it's a big lead, but in terms of share number, he's about a third of the way there, right? So he needs to maintain this rate to hit 1,991 votes at the end of the day.
I should know the answer to this question, but I don't. So I'm going to ask it.
Go ahead.
After Super Tuesday, there's like in a couple Tuesdays after that is when like another 10 or like 6 states, like a bunch of states vote again. What day is that?
March the 10th has 6 states. Okay, if you look at my stream from yesterday, has 6 states voting, holding elections. So that's like a mini Super Tuesday, and that's Idaho, Michigan is a big state, very important state, Missouri, Mississippi, and Washington, a lot of the M's.
All the M's and upside down M's.
And one other state I forgot.
And I'm in April. Mm-hmm. I don't vote till like the very end.
Yeah, you're in April. Matter. I mean, you're like down the line. I think the last state to vote is like something like New Jersey. Sorry, Kev.
Yeah, fuck Jersey. You get. Sorry, I hate when people think that I have a Jersey accent. I'm like, no, I do not have a Jersey accent. I get offended.
Yeah. So, yeah, John Delvento, thanks for coming here. Yeah, I mean, Biden may get a burst after South Carolina if he wins it by a very large margin.
He needs that.
I can see momentum going to him. But if he barely wins it over Sanders by like 2%, what is that going to tell you, right? Not much. I mean, think about and also Biden's campaign is broke right now. He has no ads showing in Super Tuesday. And Super Tuesday is like only 3 days after South Carolina. Okay, so can he win some states in Super Tuesday just based on name recognition and and media and basically and some kind of media narrative out there saying that
the majority of the people, the majority of the people who are voting are not watching the news like we are. They're not doing streams like this. They're not thinking about the delegates. They're like Joe Biden. He was Obama's VP. Yeah, seems like the right guy. I feel like the majority of the people are still with that mindset.
Okay.
Or they're like Bloomberg, that guy I see on those ads with Obama all the time. Oh, he looks good. Or Bernie. I know Bernie. Everyone I think that matters.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. I mean, you're a moderator here.
Kev. Dude, the power of the right.
Yeah, you can swear all you want to. Anyway.
It must have been frustrating everyone because I swear like a truck driver and I'm in there like, fuck this, fuck that, blah, 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 blah. And everyone's like getting yelled at by the bot.
Yeah. Hey, you know what was funny about this, Jake?
Yeah,
Cruz?
you told me about this one.
So Biden said 150 million people died from gun violence. Yeah, and that was really bad. But then I saw a tweet on Twitter saying that 150 million people have died from pot. So that was pretty funny.
Yeah, you're freaking guy from the Hill you love so much. He's all I can't. See,
Yeah, Sagar.
I like the Hill. I did. I was down with him. I'm like, okay, you got lefty and righty. You get like I like the opposing views.
Anyway.
I did love that about them. And then he goes on that reefer madness about studies show people die from marijuana at alarming rates. I'm like, okay, you're crazy.
I thought that was hilarious, though.
I can no longer ever take you seriously because you just went on a reefer madness thing.
Remember, The Populist Guide to 2020, guys. Get this book. It's a great book by Crystal Ball and Sagar
I
and
was
Kenny.
Milt always complains because I talk about this. He's like, it's not a serious. They talked about legalization of pot last night in the debate. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, side issue. Anyway.
I was like, yes, finally, something I actually care about.
And with that, everyone, I think we're done. So I hope you guys got something out of this. What I'm going to do probably is that I'm going to start basically streaming and doing delegate counts and have like a state of the races in terms of delegate counts as we go further and further into the campaign season, because then polls don't really matter as much as delegate counts, right? As you're getting deeper and deeper into the season.
We've seen what polls can say.
Yeah. So and then I'll probably give you my opinions on whether or not it's still plausible to actually for a candidate to actually hit that 1991 delegate count to avoid any kind of contested convention. It's right now it still is plausible because again, even in this case, with the polls right now on Super Tuesday, Bernie Sanders is at 655, which is a little bit less than a third of the total number.
I really
of
feel like that is a low ball. That is a low ball all day.
What you mean his delegate count right now after Super Tuesday? You think it'll be higher than that? You think it'll be about?
I don't want it to be true, but I think that's what's going to happen.
I mean, look at it. Bernie's all green except for Oklahoma.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Where else is he going to pick up delegates? What states would he pick up more delegates? I think
there's going to be a lot of 14s and 13s for Joe Biden.
Okay.
I really do.
Okay.
I think I made this comment early on when we were talking about viability. And Amanda didn't make it.
Okay.
Biden is going to be Amanda.
Okay. Here's the thing about Joe Biden here, okay? He's viable in Arkansas, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Texas, and Virginia. What do those southern states have in common?
They're more diverse.
And they have relatively large African American communities.
Yeah, I said it the PC way.
That he's banking on, right?
No, I said the same thing you said, but in the PC way.
Yeah. But he's banking on that support in South Carolina to carry him through. Okay, so I'm just saying. I mean, those poll percentages aren't that unreasonable right now. Okay, for Joe Biden. What can work out in Bernie's favor? Okay. Is if Warren drops out. If Warren can drop out,
she's not going to though,
and basically give Bernie all her votes in California. Nobody else is viable in California. He's going to pick up an extra 146 delegates. Just on California itself.
I have a feeling that I'm going to say this now, and I've kind of been feeling this. I think Warren's going to Bernie it, 2016 Bernie it, and just stay in and linger way too long.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my opinion.
Okay.
She's going to linger. She's gonna. Nevertheless, she persisted, and it's not going to be a good way. It's not going to be good.
All right, man. Okay, if you say. And let's do one last thing here. And so with that,
put the picture up.
Yeah. So with that, everyone, thanks again for coming out, guys. I hope you found this educational. I'll be doing these, again, a lot more of these as we get in deeper into the race, especially after Super Tuesday. I'll be doing another scenario test where I'll be actually combining all these results and then basically forecasting what's going to happen on March the 10th, because that's another kind of like mini Super Tuesday where 6 states are going to come into play, and we might continue this maybe for the every week or something like that, because there are going to be elections every week from now until frickin' June. So
I have a question for you.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Who do you think is going to benefit the most from last night's disastrous debate?
Bernie, only because they tried to attack him, but he just basically, sloughed it all out. I mean, he didn't fall. I mean, I think Bernie benefited the most.
That was.
I mean, every attack was pretty much thwarted, right? I mean, he parried everything.
Yeah, he Bernified everything.
Yeah, he Bernified it. I mean, Bernie does this, right? You ask him a question trying to attack him, and he'll just turn it around and then basically say something that he's been saying for the past 40 years. That's what he does. I mean, he's actually a pretty ace politician in that way. He doesn't get flustered by attacks. He'll just, I mean, he has his beliefs and principles, and he'll just talk about them forever and ever. So, who do you think won the debate?
I think the people who didn't scream that much, like since I don't think he won, but I think like the way that Biden was like making jokes about how he wasn't interrupting like everyone else made him a bit more charming, and like he looked like the adult in the room.
Sure, but remember, I mean, he's already ahead in the polls in South Carolina, so
yeah. Well, he needed a strong performance, and Biden always Biden. So like it's either he did awful or he didn't do bad.
Yeah.
So I think we could put him in the didn't do bad category for that night, and for him that's good, which is not good in general, but like for him that's good. Mm-hmm. Talk about him like he's a little kid. It's awful.
Yeah, and guys, you guys are all wrong about the VP candidates for Bernie Sanders if he gets the nomination. It's gonna be Andrew Yang, people. Math.
He said in his town hall that his VP, he like promised his VP won't be another old white guy. Which leads me to believe he's got someone in mind.
Yeah,
leads me to believe that he's got someone already in mind. It doesn't necessarily mean
it has to be a female either, okay?
No, I just think it means he's got someone already picked out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't mean, I'm not saying who I think it is. I just think it means he's got someone picked out already. Because he made it very obvious that they're not going to be something, so something we don't. If you can narrow it down, you very have some ideas. That's just my mentality of thinking of it.
I mean, I think Tulsi Gabbard would be a pretty good VP candidate as well. The problem with her is that she may be a little bit divisive, but she will be the best attack dog.
They're both a bit divisive, but
Yang?
No. I mean, like Bernie and Gabbard, they're both a bit divisive. I don't think that they would be a good combination. I think they'd upset a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I could totally see Gabbard pulling a Palin and really fucking up. Like really slipping up and pulling a Palin. And I don't know why, but I kind of sense it from her. I don't know. She is pretty. I'll give her that.
Yeah, and hotness counts, right?
I made a very shallow comment the other day. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't think a woman needs to be hot to win a serious election, but it can't hurt. Like, it's like a really shallow way.
And this is coming from a ranting liberal from Rhode Island saying
a ranting feminist. Like, it can't hurt to be hot. Like, it can hurt not to be. I hate to say it. It can hurt not to be. Like, I don't want to sound shallow, but I'm a bit shallow.
All right, I think we're done with this this mess right now. So with that, everyone, thank you all for coming. Thank you, Felicia, for stopping by and actually being part of the stream. I enjoyed it.
Educational. I love learning.
And with that, I will see y'all later. No trivia tomorrow on this channel, no TNT, but we will be back next week. For TNT, as well as we will be back before Super Tuesday. I hope
that wheel
somebody else from the chat.
Stern talking to that wheel of yours is out of control.
Yeah, the wheel does what the wheel wants to do. and
I think you need a new algorithm, bro. Like.
And with that, I will see y'all later.
Good night, everybody.